The Red Bull car launch went far against expectations as they seem to have done something massively out of left field, actually shown more than just the livery. That's right, there's an awful lot that can be garnered from the RB20 release event, and with it being the most anticipated launch of the preseason for both on and off-track reasons, there were a lot of eyes ready to lay scrutiny on the team and its contender for the upcoming season. From the bodywork with clear influence from a close rival to the eggshells that were trodden on in an attempt to not address the elephant in the room, the final car launch event of the year did not disappoint, leading us to anticipate the upcoming season with even more excitement if that were possible. However, one question does have to be asked about all the recent launches and especially Red Bull's. Can we actually believe what we are seeing, or should we hold judgment on the car design for when it actually hits the track in Bahrain? Want to know why Red Bull could have something to worry about moving into this season? The pundits still hold them as the favourites, but there are many trapdoors that they could fall through as early as preseason testing. And stick around, because according to one ex-team boss, there are some members of the Red Bull family that are falling far below par. So let's get it out of the way. Horner was there, nothing was announced, he looked a bit tired but denies the allegations and will continue on with work as normal. See, that didn't need a full video now, did it? The real shock of the car launch was the extent of the developments on display, with teams like Red Bull and Mercedes bucking the trend of merely revealing paint jobs. The Merc Bull, as we're going to call it, because Racing Point don't get to hog all of the cool nicknames in the sport, has raised some serious questions, but perhaps none more pressing than, is that really what you're bringing this season? We've seen it time and time again where teams show one car in their launches, only to bring an entirely different vehicle just weeks later to preseason testing. So just how believable is it that Red Bull have opted to go towards a concept abandoned by Mercedes last year? First of all, I think it's important to say that Mercedes never gave up on insisting that the concept of the W15 had a massively high ceiling. They just couldn't develop it to reach those heights due to limitations inherent to their approach. Red Bull, however, with a master artificer like Adrian Newey heading the development of the car, could have unlocked the potential of the Mercedes concept and are now reaping the rewards of their rivals' failure. An eerie premonition preseason put forward by Red Bull test driver Jake Dennis about the team finding an extra 2 seconds may not be all that unfounded if the development path that Mercedes let go of has truly been explored by the engineering marvel that is Adrian Newey. However, in that word, truth, lies the problem. It's impossible to know just how much of either the claims of the test driver as well as the car on display at the car launch is actually a truthful reflection of the package that Red Bull will line up with at the first race of the season. So what exactly is the cause of all of this speculative outrage? Well, the past couple of seasons have seen Red Bull develop their sidepod designs towards an underbitten inlet, with an undercut being a mainstay of their sidepod design. However, it would appear that while the rest of the teams have been playing catch up with the Milton Keynes team, the aero department at Red Bull have attempted to get ahead of the game, potentially prompted by the knowledge that other teams will homologate towards the original Red Bull design, something that is often seen towards the back end of a regulation cycle. The team have opted to chase a different sidepod principle at the start of the season in order to maintain their advantage over the field. While this is clearly a risk, Red Bull's inherent pace within the ground effect era means that they could potentially return to their original design principle if they feel that the new approach limits them rather than allows them a direction worth following. Let's be real, even if they did spend the first 4 races chasing a flawed design, they'd likely still contend with the front of the field. The vertical inlet inherent to Mercedes' zero-pod concept, as well as elements seen on the SF23 and 24 for less drastic use, are now present on the RB20. But don't get it twisted, we're not seeing a Red Bull Zero here, though the lighter colors that could be used in conjunction with the zero-pod design would be an advertising masterstroke if I do say so myself. While it is using an element seen on the zero-podded W13 and the subsequent W14, the Red Bull approach on the surface seems to be a hybridization that pairs the vertical inlet seen on the Mercedes in recent years, paired with a quintessentially Red Bull undercut downwashing approach. This means the Red Bull can move away from what they deem to be an approach that has run its course, by being unable to maximize any more cooling or aerodynamic benefits from the old principle, and don't have to go to the extremes that Mercedes did by having to cave in the side of their car in order to facilitate the radiators. The reveal of the car prompted immediate questions as to whether the reveal car was done in some kind of tactical jab or was in any kind of way baiting. However, Christian Horner would do what he's been doing a lot recently: denying. It's not tactical, it's based on performance and what we're seeing through our simulation tools. Obviously, the car looks quite visibly different in certain areas to last year, only the stopwatch will tell, but in a virtual world, we wouldn't have committed to this design if we didn't feel it was better. Horner would later go on to further laud the creativity of the team, saying, "I think there's great innovation on the car as well that no doubt will be scrutinized over the coming couple of weeks. I think creativity has been strong in the team. You can see that in some of the solutions that they've come up with, so it's not a conservative evolution. There's some great innovation." Three-time and defending world champion Max Verstappen made his thoughts on the car known, with him being pleasantly surprised at just how drastic the change of approach is, having this to say at the launch of the car when asked if Red Bull had gone too far towards the Mercedes concept. "I would still call it a Red Bull style, but I know what you mean. I'm quite happy with the direction that they chose. I saw the drawings in Abu Dhabi at the last race, and I was like, wow, that's quite a different way. They've not been conservative, let's say it like that. I think what I like about the team is that we had a great package, but they took the chance to really go all out, I would say, and try to make it better. Of course, time will tell if it's really good, but from what I see within the team, everyone is just happy with what they have achieved in the winter. But then again, we don't know. We can't control what other people did." Clearly, just as with the McLaren and Mercedes launches, Red Bull have shown just enough to be worth talking about, but still hiding elements. While yes, the current look of the car is strikingly different not just to the rest of the grid, but also the team's previous entrant, it's yet to be seen just how far Red Bull are going to go down this path. It could either be a demonstration of the superiority that Red Bull hold when it comes to their aero department, or it may demonstrate the same problems that the other teams have found with their similarly related but not identical design principles. As we said, they may pursue this and still go on to trounce the second half of the season. However, regardless of if that does happen, changes at the top of the sport and teams still turning up with drastically different cars this far into a regulation cycle has got to be a good thing, right? The real question for Red Bull isn't necessarily about this season, as we all know they'll be there or thereabouts when it comes to competing for the title if the past 2 years are anything to go by. The real question is about their future. Currently sitting in the sister team where the future of F1 has always been nurtured sits a 34-year-old and a Honda driver. Ricciardo needs to blow Yuki away this season according to David Coulthard if he wants to last any longer in the sport, and Yuki will likely not be at the team into the new regulation cycle, which does bring up a question. What's the point? Obviously for Ricciardo, he's looking to reignite his career and carve his way back into Red Bull if Checo were to depart, and with Yuki, he's there for now, I guess. But we think Eddie Jordan says it best, especially considering that there are now 2 consecutive F2 champions without an F1 seat, and even then, the third one, Piastri, had to wait some time and had to force his way out of a team before getting his shot when he said, "I am so upset. Honestly, I can't tell you how upsetting this is, and I really blame the 10 teams. It's scandalous. The vision, the foresight is negative. I think all of the big teams and all of the smaller teams, shame on those teams for not making it their business to give the young blood, young talent, and us in the media something we can grasp on and say who was the best rookie of the year. We can't say that this year. It's just wrong." And yeah, despite the new cars and the silly season being in motion already, there really does feel like there's something missing, doesn't there?